We're doing grants research, and now we're focusing on federal, state, and local funding. And there's some nuances and differences, and I'm going to speak to those. So one real nuance is, well, although there are some private sources out there that compile and will charge you to help you search for federal grants, most of this is public access, and you'll be able to figure out how to research federal, state, and local grants on your own. But it doesn't mean this is easy stuff to deal with. It can be confusing. I think it just involves a little bit of a learning curve. And once you're at that learning curve, then it helps and you can move right through it all. The state resources are not consolidated. And what I mean here is the federal, city, and municipality in San Diego are all in one-stop shop. You can search a database for all federal grants. You can search for all county. You can search for all city grants. We can't search for all state grants. So what it means is we're going to be going to different departments to look to see if what the California Department of Education, for example, for my tutoring program, if I'm looking for funds for a tutoring program, that's where I might start. If I'm looking for an employment program, I might be looking for their employment agencies at the state level, the employment and training division. So it's more scattershot at the state level, but we also want to do that at the federal level, and I'll explain why. There's also another factor to consider: the political flavor of the day. This means that there can be a really hot issue and legislation gets funds a certain program for a while. I remember, about 15 years ago, the big thing was youth violence, and they wanted to prevent youth violence, and there was all kind of money all of a sudden flowing into that. Don't see that kind of funding out there now. So it changes a little bit. So it's not like a foundation where a lot of times you'll see essentially the same priorities and grant guidelines for many years at a number of foundations. I'm going to start you with local and state funding. Pretty simple at the local level. I'm going to pop up all four of these bits here with BINET at the County of San Diego compiles all funding that they're awarding through grants at the county level, and similarly this at the city level, this San Diego contracts website. At the state level, again, there's no one place to find everything, but here is a way to search for different agencies throughout the state that might be aligned. If you had that after school program, you could look for the Department of Education's website, or if you had an employment program, you could look for any agencies that have a labor type focus to see if they're funding anything, or workforce development focus. So I'm going to show you some examples here of these websites. So here's the City of San Diego bid and contract website. You sign up for this website and they send you announcements about what funding is coming available. So I'm registered there. I'm registered at the county level. The county has my information. They know what I'm interested in. They send me announcements. At the state level, I am also registered with the California Department of Education to receive notices on grants. And you'll see that they have a grants page. So this is just one example of many different websites throughout the state for funding. It's a very good example because you'll see they have the list of available funding, who's received funding before, and this is a really big one: projected funding, what they're anticipating for the next year. Now at the federal level, it's a little bit different. There's a database called grants.gov, which I'm going to show you right now and show you how to search it. And then there are websites, just like the state of California, that Department of Education website. I actually prefer going right to different agencies to look for grants because it's a lot easier to get at the information, and it gives you a better sense of what they're doing on the whole for that year, rather than grants.gov is a database that may come up with one opportunity for you. So I want to break out from here for a sec. So excuse how the screen's going to look weird for just a second, because we are going to continue, and I'm going to go to grants.gov. I've got it all queued up. This is the grants.gov system. I've clicked in on the basic search page. As you'll see for applicants, I think it's a different landing page than this, but you'll see this menu, and you go basic search, browse by category, browse by agency, advanced search. Well, I just want to keep it simple. I want to look for tutoring, and I want to see what's going to happen. And I've already run this, so tutoring comes up, takes it a second, and you'll see some of these are relevant to what I searched for, and some of these have no relevance at all. They've gone a little bit better with their database. It used to pull up all kinds of really weird information. I mean, this Mexican partnership program with USAID maybe involves tutoring. I think they've gone better with this, but you'll see I'm not necessarily finding tutoring as I expected to. I'm not finding for my school, but I am interested in this young adult ex-offenders because my program involves a lot of ex-offenders. So I'm going to take a look, and I'm going to click in here and see what's doing. And here is a typical grant announcement at the federal level using grants.gov. And you'll see the synopsis of it and the closing dates, when the deadline is, how much money, how many grants, and information throughout. And then they have a link to the full announcement where they give you a little more information about the grant program. I think this may or may not work because the grants.gov system's been weird today. Oh yeah, here's where you can download the full announcement and then an application page. We're not going to get into that, but that's more for submitting the grant. Now, I could click on this full announcement right here and show it to you. I want to go back to the U.S. Department of Labor and the Employment Training Administration. This is the Employment Training Administration's grants page. So similar to grants.gov, they list their funding opportunities, and these are the open funding opportunities. Same funding announcement right here, serving youth, adult, ex-offenders through training and service learning. I click on the full announcement. I get the same thing I would have clicked on in the grants.gov page, and this gets us in as soon as my browser shows it, and there I am, a lot of the same information, but you'll notice this is about I believe it's about a 30-page, 32-page document. We're not going to get into this too much. I'm going to cover this mostly in the second part of this course, the second course, rather than this course, but we will talk about it a little more next week. But some key things, we see the same information. We see a little bit more information on what they're actually funding and what their purpose is: service learning, establish community trust while building work skills. So I wanted to give you that hands-on bird's eye look, and I'm going to go back in to the PowerPoint. Want to show you some other tools that you can do. You can also, if there's something specific you're looking for on grants.gov, or you're waiting for a specific announcement, you can get notified by grants.gov when that gets released, or even a keyword. If you add that tutoring keyword, you can go ahead and get announced when any tutoring grants come available. Or you can be a nerd like me and you can get notified every day when the grants are released. And again, you can do the same thing at the county and city level and at the different departments at the state of California level. Oh, I want to cover just a couple other tools that I like. Federal Grants Wire, it's a private website, but they have a really good synopsis of grant opportunities coming around. And Grantsmanship Center. I give you these just as extra tools. I think if you learn how to use at the federal level, the website, you'll be fine, but these are nice shortcuts once in a while for federal grants. Want to cover just really extremely briefly international funders. I don't really work with these very much, but I know some folks do, and when you're looking internationally, there are all kinds of places like the UN and European Commission, World Bank. I actually had a call this week from somebody who was looking for help on writing a grant to a U.S. embassy, and there are small grant amounts available to them. So just want to make you aware of that. We're not going to get into extreme detail in this course. I think if you get the skills of being able to research at the federal level, it will be applicable, or it will help you really understand how to do it at other levels. So some key principles that we're going to get a lot more information by going to the local or the department website at either the federal, state, or even the local level sometimes. We want to narrow our keyword searches. So did you notice how I used a one-word search for tutoring? I didn't use a whole bunch of words, or if I was going to use more than one word, I would keep the words similar, because I would be worried that it would pull up a lot of different results. Talked about getting those automatic notifications. I have it here again because I just want to emphasize that that can save you some time. Also, what you want to get, if you're really interested in applying for something, you want to get the modification notices, meaning that if you're applying, a lot of times they will come up with a whole new modification to the grant proposal itself. So you'll need to get that notice. So coming up next week, we're going to look, this week we looked at, our funders basically aligned with the general organization program needs. We ran some databases, we looked through, we did some keyword searching, we figured that out. We're going to go deeper next week. We're going to make sure, are we competitive for funding through this source? Are we applying to the right type of funder? And then we're going to go through and we're going to mine through a lot of more information that we can find that's going to get us better idea of who they're funding, what they're funding, why they're funding, what their schedule is it going to work for us? So the debrief, you're welcome to include it on your blogs, or if you have any questions on the main message board, you can go right ahead with that. But just, what did you learn about the databases? Did you learn enough? Are you feeling comfortable with that? What did you learn about the topic and the language of funders? Have you learned how funders will include certain kind of information on their websites? Are there any challenges? Please let me know. Please include that on the message board. I'm going to go to the next narrated. There'll be one more narrated PowerPoint in this series, and we're going to talk about a couple of research activities. So it's going to reinforce what you've just seen and learned and give you a chance to practice. So again, Jay Katz here. If you have any questions for me, please email me or contact me. I'm happy to help, and we will keep moving forward.